Jungkook was sitting angrily on the couch with his right hand bleeding, but none of the bodyguards were trying to go near him. Actually, his enemy kidnapped you. That's why he was so angry. The boss's hand is bleeding. If his hand is not bandaged, it will cause infection. If you don't love your life, then go tell boss to get a bandage on his hand. While both of them are talking, David's phone rings and Jungkook looks at him, which makes David panic and immediately receives the call. Okay, thank you. Saying this, he disconnected the call. Boss madam's location has been detected. Hearing this, Jungkook picks up his gun and goes outside, followed by all the bodyguards, David and Daniel. After some time, more than 100 cars move out of the villa. You dare to kidnap me? Saying this, you start beating 4 to 5 men. Why did you open her hand? I did not know this girl was so dangerous. I thought she is an innocent girl. Go catch her, or the boss will kill us. Hearing this, the man attacks you from behind, but before he can attack you, you catch hold of his hand and twist it, breaking his bones and making him scream in pain. I hate scream. Saying this, you punch him in the face and he falls down. Now, who wants to fight with me? Come forward. After listening to you, 4 men come together and attack you. So you beat them all one by one. After some time, all the people were laying on the ground and groaning. Who sent you all to kidnap me? You asked the people laying on the ground. Please leave us, we don't know anything. Looks like I did not beat you all up properly. That's why you all are not telling me who told you all to kidnap me. After saying this, when you raise your hand, you heard Jungkook's voice. Princess, as soon as you see Jungkook, you go and hug him. Hubby, why did you come so late? Are you okay? Jungkook asks, looking you up and down. I'm fine, you say, looking into Jungkook's eyes. When Jungkook confirms that there is not a single mark of injury on your body, he sighs in relief. Then Jungkook's eyes fell on the people writhing in pain on the ground. Who put them in this situation? Avi, I did. Hearing you, Jungkook as well as Daniel, David, and all the bodyguards looked at you with shocked expressions. Although Jungkook knew you were a skilled spy, but he did not know that you could beat up 10 men so badly at once. Lady Boss is more dangerous than Boss. I have been working with her for the last 5 years, but I never knew until today that she could be so dangerous. Daniel speaks while looking at the people laying on the ground, writhing in pain. Actually, everyone did not know about this side of you because Jungkook never let you do your work. He always kept you close to him. Hubby, what happened? Nothing. Let's go from here. Saying this, he holds your hand and walks away from there. But before leaving, he gives some signals to David. After Jungkook and you left, David set the entire house on fire and left. Jungkook was sitting on a chair thinking something, and Daniel and David were standing in front of him. Daniel and David look at each other when they see Jungkook thinking about something. Boss, what happened? Hearing Daniel's voice brings Jungkook out of his thoughts. Did you find out anything? No, boss, till now we have not found out who is the one who is repeatedly trying to attack Madam. Whenever we think we are getting close to him, he destroys all the evidence against himself. Jungkook married you just a week after he confessed his feelings to you, and even since you got married, You have been getting attacked every day. Find out quickly who he is, who is trying to attack the Mafia King's wife. Don't worry, boss. He would not be able to hide from us for long. Then Jungkook starts giving some instruction and they listen to Jungkook. Boss, before David can say anything, Jungkook stops him by gesturing with his hand. Princess, what are you doing outside? Come inside. After hearing Jungkook's words, you close your eyes and then make an innocent face and go inside the study room. Actually, you came looking for Jungkook, but when you heard Jungkook talking to David and Daniel about something important, you started listening to Jungkook, but you could not understand because Jungkook was talking to him in code language. You two go, I'll talk to you later. They walk out of the study after hearing Jungkook's words. Princess, come to me. When Jungkook calls you, you go and stand near him like an innocent girl. How many times have I told you not to listen to me secretly? Jungkook asks while staring at you. And why don't you tell me something? Because I don't want you to be stressed thinking about something. He makes you sit on his lap and places his chin on your shoulder and says, But I don't discuss this. Now tell me, why did you come here? Break the 10 years contract you made with me. But why? Because you already have a lot of bodyguards and they protect you. And whenever I get a chance to protect you, you don't let me do so. Yes, because I don't want you to get hurt even a little bit. I don't want to hear anything. You just terminate my contract so I can do my job again. No, you won't do that job. So what do you want? I should stay at home and not to do my work. When did I say you stay at home? So what do you mean? You speak angrily. Princess, you can have the job as my secretary permanently. If you don't want to do the job of a secretary, you can do any job in my company. But you can't do your spy job. I don't want to work as your secretary, nor do I want to work in your company. But what is your problem? I won't work in your company. You will bother me. You make a face and says, Jungkook wanted to laugh after seeing your face, but he does not. Okay, I won't bother you at the company. Seriously, you won't bother me? Yes, but I'll bother you a lot after coming to the villa. Now stop staring at me angrily. Saying this, he picks you up in his arms and walks out of the study. Jungkook brings you into the kitchen and sits you on the kitchen counter and starts cooking. Seeing Jungkook cooking reminds you of that day. Remembering that day brings a smile to your face. When Jungkook sees you smiling, he comes closer to you. What happened? You get nervous seeing Jungkook so close because you were so lost in your thoughts that you did not see Jungkook approach you. I was just wondering how I got such a perfect husband. You said putting your hands around his neck. Now that you have got such a perfect husband, you should take care of him too, right? Then there was a smell of burning, and then Jungkook looked towards the gas and immediately turned it off. Actually, the food that Jungkook was cooking was completely burnt. When you saw this, you started laughing loud. When Jungkook sees you laughing, he stares at you. Princess, come to my cabin. Saying this, he disconnected the call. Do you want to kill me? Jungkook hugs you tightly after listening to you. Are you okay? Yes. Then why are you behaving like this? I'll be away from you for so long. I'll miss you, so I'm hugging you tightly. You are going somewhere and you did not even tell me. Angry. I have an important meeting in US. I have to go now. You take care of yourself and yes, eat on time. Mom, I will not talk to him when he comes. You said angrily to Mrs. Jeon while eating popcorn. Actually, Jungkook asked Mrs. Jeon to come to the villa because he did not want you to feel lonely. Okay, just then Mrs. Jeon's phone rings. So Mrs. Jeon goes a little distance to talk. After Mrs. Jeon leaves, you take the TV remote and turn on the news. As soon as you see the news, you started screaming loudly and became unconscious. When Mrs. Jeon hears your scream, she comes to you. Wayne, get up. Just then Mrs. Jeon hears the news, telling about Jungkook's jet crash and death. When Mrs. Jeon hears this, tears well up in Mrs. Jeon's eyes. A 50-year-old man was sitting on the couch drinking alcohol, and 3 to 4 girls surrounding him were trying to. Who gave you permission to come into my room? He asked angrily. Boss, it is very important. What happened? Boss, Jungkook's jet has crashed and he has died. Hearing this, the man angrily picks up the table placed in front and throws it, due to which all the girls get scared and run out of the room. How can he die? I had to take revenge on him, just as I yearned for my son. Similarly, when I kill his wife, he would also yearn for his wife, only then would my revenge be complete. Saying this, he breaks all the stuff in the room. Seeing his anger, bodyguards also leaves the room. Mafia King, it has been spread everywhere that Mr. Jungkook is dead. Hearing this, he signals him to leave, and the man leaves the room. After the man leaves, the man stands up from the chair and turns on the light so his face becomes clearly visible. He was none other than Jungkook. Actually, he had faked his death to catch his enemy. Doctor, how is she? As soon as the doctor comes out of the room, Mrs. Jeon asks the doctor. If her mental health remains like this, then she may even go mad. After hearing this, tears starts falling from Mrs. Jeon's eyes. Don't cry, everything will be okay. Mr. Jeon hugged Mrs. Jeon and said, how will everything be alright? We can't be weak like this. We have to handle her. You are right. Saying this, she wiped her tears and looked at the doctor. Doctor, do whatever you want, but make her health. Mrs. Yeon, we can't do anything until she accepts that Mr. Jungkook is dead. And yes, feed her something. She has not eaten anything for 2 days. She is not listening to the nurse. Maybe she can hear you. As Mr. Jeon and Mrs. Jeon come inside the room, they see you looking at Jungkook's photo. When Mrs. Jeon sits next to you and says, Mom, look how many times I have called Jungkook, but he is not receiving my call. You said showing your phone. He must be busy, that's why he is not receiving your call. But mom, he can call me at least once. I'm waiting for his call. He must be very busy, so he is not calling you. Now you leave him and eat. Mom, I don't want to eat. You tell him to come, then I will eat. If you don't eat, how angry will he get? When he finds out you did not eat, you are right, mom. He will be very angry when he finds out about this. Give me the food plate. After listening to Mrs. Jeon, Mr. Jeon gives the plate of food he is holding in his hand to Mrs. Jeon. Now open your mouth. Mrs. Jeon extended the soup spoon towards you and said, you also opened your mouth without saying anything. After some time, Mrs. Jeon fed you completely food and asked you to rest and went away. Don't worry, I'm coming. Saying this, he disconnected the call. As soon as he turned back, Mrs. Jeon was standing in front of him. What happened? Why are you so worried? Ever since the news of Jungkook's death spread, our stock price has been going down. Don't worry. Both of them were talking when they heard you screaming, so they ran towards your room. As soon as they come into the room, they see you breaking all the stuff. When don't do that, you will get hurt. How did she say that my Jungkook is dead? He will never come back. By saying this, you were breaking stuff. Actually, two nurses were talking about Jungkook's death, and you overheard both of them. What are you two doing? Go and stop her. Mrs. Jones says to the nurses who were standing aside, frightened. Madam, we will not go. She has already beaten us a lot. If we go to her, then don't know what she will do with us. You go and call the bodyguard. Mrs. June was going to call the bodyguard when 4 to 5 doctors come in. Mrs. June, no need to call the bodyguard. We will handle her. Then all the doctors together catch you. Leave me, leave me. You are trying to free yourself. Give injection. After listening to the doctor, another doctor gives you an injection. Then you become unconscious. Seeing your condition, tears come to Mrs. Jones' eyes. Jungkook was looking at your photo on his phone when Daniel comes into your room. Boss, as you said, I am buying shares of your company in the name of JK. Is anyone else trying to buy shares? Yes, boss, Mr. Lee is trying to buy, but we are buying by paying more money. Keep an eye on him. Okay, boss. Did you find out anything about her? No news about Lady Boss because Mr. Jeon has tightened the security of the villa. Jungkook gets sad after hearing this. Okay, you can go. Daniel leaves the room after listening to Jungkook. It's been 3 days since I saw you. Don't know how you are, he says while looking at your photo. As Mrs. Yoon comes to your room with food, she sees you sleeping holding Jungkook's picture. When you wake up hearing Mrs. Yoon's voice. Mom, did Jungkook come? First you eat, then we will talk. I don't want to eat. You always tell me he will come, but he does not. He is busy, that is why he is not coming. But when he comes, he will feel very bad after seeing your condition. Mrs. June did not want to lie to you, but she also could not tell you the truth because whenever someone told you about Jungkook's death, you would get angry and started breaking stuff, and you behave like a psychopath. You even hurt yourself at times. But mom, I miss him. When will he come? Saying this brings tears to your eyes. Seeing you crying, Mrs. June hugs you. After some time, Mrs. June explains to you and feeds you some food, then puts you to sleep and leaves the room. Within a month, your condition had become even worse. You neither ate on time nor slept well, due to which your weight had reduced by 5 kg. You used to ask about jungkook all the time. After some time, Jungkook comes into the living room wearing a mask on his face. As soon as Mr. Lee sees Jungkook, he stands up from his place. Give me a good title. If I like your title, I'll write FF according to your title.